Welcome to Solo Shot First, and today we are going to be having a look at the re-released version of Luke Skywalker from Hoth, from Star Wars The Empire Strikes Back. Now, the first thing I've got to say about this card back, this is absolutely a stunning card back. It's a shame, obviously, this was re-released on this sort of very thin cardstock, but other than that, this is just a great card back. I mean, that image itself, obviously, of Luke, he's taken straight from the film, obviously, of him sitting on that Tauntaun right at the start of the film. It is just stunning, and obviously this really plays on the I suppose for me, sort of the nostalgia part, sort of taking you all the way back to when that sort of film first came out. So a beautiful looking card back. I mean, obviously you've got the Kenner logo down there in the bottom right, the warning in the top right as you look at it, and the 4+ age group on the top left. That nice Star Wars design, the Empire Strikes Back, obviously in that very, very vibrant red, and then obviously you've got the Luke Skywalker himself, obviously with the blue, like a darker blue name pill, and that sort of blue background. So again, obviously with the white snow, and obviously it being on Hoth, it really does make the card back absolutely pop. And inside the bubble, the figure itself looks pretty good. What I also have got is I've got it's an older one, but I've got the Black Series of the 3.75 inch version of this, which we'll bring in and compare as well. But a truly, truly gorgeous card back. So let's have a look at the back of this card. So this is VC95. You've got, again, that lovely Star Wars racetrack around the highlighted figures of the other figures that they re-released as part of this wave. And then obviously the Vintage Collection logo at the bottom of that racetrack. A lot of legal information, a bit of a nonsense. As I said, I've gone through that loads of times, no point doing that. It is a shame that they have to have that so prominent, and there wasn't a little bit more of a bio of the figure itself. But VC95. So just one final look at the card back itself, and then we will get this figure out of the packaging and have a look, and then obviously also bring in that Black Series one as well. So let's get this figure out and we'll have a look at it. Okay, so here we've got the figure out of the packaging, and I've actually managed to, whoops, hang on. Sorry about that. I've actually managed to get him on the spinner. Here we go, hang on. Right, apologies about that. Let's see if this works. That spinner actually doesn't quite sit right. And unfortunately, and this is a minor thing that I would say with this figure, and why it kept falling over, is he's got really, really small peg holes on his feet. And the actual peg holes are at the front of the foot, which is a little bit bizarre. But other than that, this is a really, really lovely looking figure, and a really, really decent, I suppose, got a really good look and feel, obviously, about how Luke Skywalker did look on Hoth. In terms of the sort of the look of the figure, he's got those lovely sort of boots with those sort of wraps around, the nice grey cargo pants. He's obviously got the gun belt there, and the gun obviously does slip into his holster. Not brilliantly, I would say, because that weapon is obviously sort of quite big and quite chunky, but he's obviously got that big sort of puffer that you would have obviously over the top in the snow, and then that piece around the neck, and then obviously as well as the hat. Now, nothing obviously in terms of from the hat is removable, although obviously in the packaging what we did also get was a couple of other accessories that I do think work quite nicely. So really, really good looking figure itself. Let's just get him off the spinner and we can have a look in a bit more detail. Okay, so there he is, obviously off the off that spinning machine. As I said, a lovely looking figure. In terms of the articulation, obviously with this figure, just being a re-release, it doesn't come with obviously the sort of full bells and whistles that we are getting with like that butterfly hinge with the newer figures, but this has still got really good articulation. So you've got articulation obviously at the head, you've got articulation at the shoulders. There is the swivel there just above the chest. Articulation at the elbows, and there is obviously a swivel in the wrist. Articulation at the hips, at the knees, and obviously a swivel in the ankle. So very, very good articulation on this figure. In terms of the accessories, obviously, that come with it, you've got the blaster. If I pull that out. Sorry. And that's just that sort of black stock, but obviously it does have a nice silver there on that part of the weapon at the front. So pretty decent. It just seems a little bit big, you know, when you pop that. I mean, in his hand, it looks really, really good. But to fit into that belt, into his holster, I should say that holster is just a fraction small. So if we take that weapon out of his hand, sorry, this is terrible camera work, I appreciate that, and slot that in, it just sits in, if you can see that all right, it's a bit gloomy here, like that. But nevertheless, it does work, and it was really funny, actually, because one of the things I was always absolutely mad on, certainly as a kid, was really wanting these figures to actually come and work in holsters, and it was something obviously that was never going to happen. But obviously, you know, we do have that now with the vintage collection, which is absolutely fantastic. And I've got to say, I do love all of that. He comes with his blue lightsaber, which is quite nice, quite a light blue. That one, some quite decent detail on that hilt with the sort of the black and the silver, and then obviously separately you again get this separate lightsaber hilt. So pretty cool. The only other accessory he actually comes with is this, which is this headgear, which I do believe obviously sort of fits him quite nicely. So what we'll do is we'll just try and pop that on and have a look. So yeah, you simply just need to pop that head off and drop that his sort of goggles and that scarf, if you like, over the top. And that really, really does work really, really nicely. That looks really, really good set up like that. Okay, his glasses are a little bit slipped on that side, but that's absolutely minor. I'm sure with some adjustment you could get that. So that looks really, really good like that. Now, the only sort of, I can see massive sort of fundamental difference, if we brought in the Black Series one, let's just take that scarf back off his head and bring them together to compare. So there we've got the two together, and they're just slightly different colours. So the one on the right-hand side is the Black Series version, and it's noticeable that the boots are a bit more of a darker brown, and the wraps obviously are much clearer white. The Vintage Collection one, they almost appear to be on this side, I wouldn't say like a blue, but they've got that sort of blue tinge. And the actual grey trousers on the Black Series one are a bit of a darker grey. And I'd say the tunic is a bit lighter. And actually, I would argue it's probably that figure is probably better in terms of colouring. The one thing, obviously, that it doesn't come with is the Black Series version does not come with that sort of headgear, but I suppose you could always try and swap that over. And the only other sort of massive noticeable difference, obviously, you've got the headscarf on the Black Series one, with that sort of piece coming down, which you don't on the Vintage Collection one. And obviously, slightly different head gear, if you can see. So obviously, the Black Series one actually has the glasses already attached, if you can see that. And then, of course, you've got the massive difference being in terms of the face, if I can get that to focus. The Black Series one, obviously, is the battle-scarred version, which is obviously when he's been attacked by the Wampa. But other than that, obviously, there's quite a few differences there. But two really good figures. I mean, I really love that Vintage Collection one. I really, really like the Black Series one. But what I did love about the Vintage Collection one is that piece. That works really, really nicely. But two super cool figures. Vintage Collection one, absolutely stunning. And I would say if you can pick up that Black Series one as well for a reasonable price, absolutely worth it, because I think the colouring on it is slightly better. And it's also nice to just have a slightly different version with the goggles attached, as opposed to sort of popping them on. I mean, you could probably do a head swap here if I really wanted to. You could mix that out, because I do think, as I said, the Black Series one has slightly better colouring. But Vintage Collection one as well is a great figure. You can still obviously pick this up quite readily, I think, at a really good price. So if you haven't got this, then I'd highly recommend it. And obviously the good thing about this, it's more people to add to your Hoth for either dioramas or scenes or whatever that you're doing. But move that one out of the way. Sorry, the Black Series one, just to concentrate on that Vintage one. Move his head up slightly, Just as you can see that. That's a really, really good figure. So is the other one, but obviously this is you know, we were talking more about vintage. So really good figure. If you haven't got it, listen, as a carded collector, you're going to want this anyway because the card back is absolutely sensational. And for a loose collector, this is a really, really good figure. Anyway, I hope you have enjoyed this video. If you have, please hit the like button. If you are new to the channel and you want to subscribe, please do. If you've got any questions, any comments at all, please leave them in the comments section below and I'll come back to you as soon as possible. Hope you've enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching.